Thank you for that wonderful intro, and yeah, I hope I can live up to the London boy thing that I was introed with. Right, so as I said, my name's Alex McFadyen, and I'm the EVP of Technology over at BENlabs. And today, I'm gonna talk to you about AI, because isn't that what everyone's talking about? You probably know BENlabs more through our product called TubeBuddy, which is an amazing tool. I hope you're already using it, and if you're not, there'll be a chance at the end. But we're basically a platform for video intelligence and allowing you to get better engaged behavior with your audience. What does that actually mean? Well, it means that we let you make better decisions around your video and your content. And we do that by analyzing the content and going deeper, giving you a better understanding of the content that you're already creating, understanding the audiences and how they're engaging with your content, and then taking those two things, rolling them together, and predicting outcomes and impact of that content so that you can make changes in your content today that's going to affect how it's going to perform in the future. So what does embracing AI mean for creators? Well, fundamentally, it means growth and impact, right? That's why you're all here. You want to grow your channels, you want to grow your impact, you want to grow the way that you exist in the social media space. And AI can absolutely help you do that. It can do it in a whole bunch of ways that you can see up there. It can help you make better thumbnails by analyzing them before they go live. It can help you with that blank page problem that John was talking about. How do you come up with those ideas? AI is great for that. It can even generate entire thumbnails for you that you can use on your channel. And then going beyond, understanding your audience. Where do you sit in the overall YouTube ecosystem? Where is your content really leveraged and who's really enjoying it? And then going even deeper on your audience. Yeah, you understand what content they're consuming. How would it be if you could understand what products they're buying on Amazon? Pretty cool, right? But I'm getting ahead of myself. Generative AI, so hot right now, right? I'm sure that you've all had a conversation about generative AI in the last few days, and basically every conversation I'm having seems to revolve around it. I mean, I might be a special case, but everyone's talking about it. It's part of the mainstream. These three big ones here, ChatGPT, DALL-E, and Midjourney, they're basically household names. And you kind of have to pinch yourself to remember, these didn't exist 18 months ago. It's been really, really quick. And they all have one thing in common. They all generate content. With ChatGPT, you're generating text. With DALL-E and Midjourney, it's generating images. And it's doing it in a way and a space and a pace that we just simply couldn't do before. Imagine trying to make one of those images from Midjourney by hand. Not only the hours and days and weeks and months and years of training to be able to use Photoshop, but just making the image itself would take hours. And now you can do it in seconds. It's kind of remarkable. But AI has been around since the 80s. And we've had films about it, Terminator famously. Why has it exploded? Why has it gone so big in the last 18 months? Oh, wrong button. There we go. To be able to explain that, I need to give you a little bit of a data science lesson. Bear with me. Hopefully you'll feel smarter at the end. What you can see here on the right-hand side is an example of the two different types of AI. The one on the top is discriminative AI. This is the stuff that's been around since the 80s. And the way that that works is you bring the AI a whole load of data, you do a whole load of training, and you can then bring it a new data point. You can bring it a new dot, and you can ask it, is this a red or a blue dot? And it'll tell you the answer, and it'll get it right. And that one simple idea has spawned handwriting recognition, face recognition, chess bots that can beat the best humans. All of that AI stuff that was happening up until the end of last year, that was all discriminative AI. The really new stuff is the one at the bottom. That's generative AI. Works in a very similar way. You give it a whole load of data, you do a whole load of training, but instead of you bringing it a new dot and saying, is this red or blue, you're now asking that model for a new blue dot. That's the prompt. Please give me a new blue dot, and it makes one out of the data that it already understands. That's the fundamental difference between the two different types of AI. Discriminative, what sort of dot is this? Generative, give me a new dot. But that doesn't explain why it's got so big in the last 18 months. For that, you need the second diagram. So, that first section, mod arithmetic, what that diagram is showing you is the ability for large language models, which is like the underground plumbing of AI, their ability to solve mod arithmetic. Mod arithmetic is a simple mathematical thing. It's like, take 7 o'clock in the afternoon, add 6 hours to it, what time is it? It's that question. Fairly straightforward. What you're seeing there, along the bottom, the red dotted line is a random answer. So for a really long time, these models were no better than just random numbers. And when I say a really long time, I mean it. Those numbers at the bottom, that's 10 to the 18. That's 10 with 18 zeros after it. That's how much training it took, and it was still no better than random. 20 zeros, the same. 22, all of a sudden, it's now starting to get the answer right. And that's what's really exciting here, is the people who developed this didn't know when that point was going to happen, that tipping point. It went over it, and it could now work out the answer. This is what was happening a lot late last year, and it's really rather remarkable. Because the other thing about large language models is you don't know what it can do until you ask it the question. And this is one of the reasons why OpenAI opened it up to so many people, was they wanted to test the model to see what it could do. And people absolutely loved it. Sorry, just grabbing a drink. People loved it, and people started using it in a big way. If you just go online and you look at basically any industry that uses a computer, and you look for generative AI or AI, right now the numbers are through the roof. Developers love AI. 92% of developers are saying that they're already using generative AI in their day-to-day work. Teachers going all in on AI to be able to help them be able to deliver better classroom experiences. And you can be sure the kids are using it to help cheat on their homework. Like, there is no question about that. Creators too, you guys love it. 94.5% of you are already using AI in your daily routines. And what's really interesting is when we've done surveys, and people have done surveys on the consumers of creator content, they don't mind. They trust it the same amount as they trust normal content that was generated in more traditional means. And this is really important, and I'll come back to that a little later. The other reason why AI feels as though it's so hot right now is the adoption has been like nothing else. I love this graph. It shows the amount of time it took a technology to get to 50 million users. Took the telephone 50 years, the TV 22, YouTube took 2, ChatGPT did it in a month. So it's not just that we're all getting older, I know that I certainly am, but technology is ever increasing in pace. We're getting new things, and they're being adopted even faster. But having all these tools is great, and being able to generate all this content faster than ever before is really powerful. But there's an interesting thought experiment which actually comes from a long-dead French mathematician, but bear with me, it's kind of cool. So he came up with this idea of the infinite monkey theorem, which goes like this. With infinite monkeys, infinite typewriters, and infinite time, one of them is going to write the complete works of Shakespeare. And what he's trying to say there is that with enough time and with enough options, one of the ideas is going to be good. And with generative AI, we've just given every single creator, every single person on the planet, an infinite number of monkeys. The problem is that we haven't also given them an infinite amount of judgment or creative skills to understand the content that they're producing, whether it's any good. And we've already started to see some platforms ban generative content because they're just getting swamped with a huge deluge that they just can't deal with. And I think, actually, going back to that slide, this is why consumers of influencer content still trust it the same amount, whether it's been built with AI or not. Because ultimately, it's your brand. It's you who's putting the content out. AI is just a tool, and you need to keep that in mind. Yes, you can use these tools, and please do, and the rest of this pitch is all about why you should be doing that, but keep in mind, it's still your brand. It still needs to be you. And there's a lot of you out there. And this is one of the reasons why at TubeBuddy and BENlabs, we think that the creator economy specifically is going to be the forefront of this AI revolution. Because there's so many of you out there who understand what good content looks like. You have that editing skill. You have that determination. You have that ability to see what's being created and whether it's good. And AI needs that to grow. One quick word of warning, yes, there is a huge gold rush going on right now in the AI space. There are so many companies that are popping up left, right, and center who are calling themselves AI startups. Some of them are doing genuinely innovative things and are fantastic. Some of them are just kind of repackaging someone else's stuff because they want your money. And sometimes they don't just want your money, they want your data. And I'll come on to that in a little bit. But when you're looking at these AI tools, do be a little bit careful. There was a great talk yesterday about the risks of having your account hacked when you share your credentials. You do need to do your due diligence because there's a lot of them out there. And 9 times out of 10, all they're doing is taking someone else's work and putting a nice new shiny layer on it and then getting you to pay for that. So one of the things you can look at how many data scientists or data engineers that company employs. If the answer is 0, they're probably not doing anything innovative and they're just using someone else's work. And why are they doing that? Because of the data. The data on the entertainment space is an absolute goldmine for AI. Because this new generative world, it needs the unstructured data. Some of you may have heard the term unstructured and structured data before. Basically, structured data is things that fit into a spreadsheet. It's your likes, it's your views, it's your subscribers, it's the countries in which the content was generated. And that's great, and you can do some really interesting stuff with that. But generative AI needs unstructured data. It needs your comments. It needs the descriptions. It needs the videos. It needs the thumbnails. That's what it's all built on. And that's why, again, we think that the creator space is going to be such a big boon for AI in general. Yeah, a picture's worth 1,000 words. What about a video? And here at BENlabs and at TubeBuddy, we've been doing this for quite some time. This is a very early alpha tool that we use internally, but I want to share you with it because it's so awesome. What you're seeing on the right there is 350,000 Instagram accounts, and they've been grouped together, not by the content that they produce, not by the country they came from or their size. It's based on the way that the audience interacts with the content. So if an audience member comments on 2 pieces of content, it pulls it together in that cluster. And this is great. We've been using it to power all sorts of amazing things, and one of the things we did with it is we turned that into a map. So we now have a map of those 350,000, and I can drill in. I can go and find a cluster, a group of audience who behave the same way. That could be they're interested in dog walking, or they're interested in photo editing, or they're cooks, for example. And this is great. I've spent more hours than is probably healthy digging through that map and finding the big movers and shakers in each of those audience clusters. But what gets even more powerful is when you take an individual account and you say, where is this in the map? And you can see, oh, right, they're right there. They're in the middle of that cluster. But as well as being in the middle of that cluster, they've got branches out, as you can see, to other clusters. And this is really powerful as a creator, because now you're seeing, yes, you've got your core, but you're also able to understand, hey, but I've also got an audience who's really into dog walking. And so maybe my channel is mostly an IRL channel about parenting, but maybe I could do some dog walking content, and that'll expand out my audience. And this is only possible because we're not just using the structured data, we're going into the unstructured data. I love this slide, it's one of my favorites. So what this is trying to show you here is that demographic data simply isn't enough anymore. If you were to cover up those 2 pictures and you just look at the demographics, it's the same person. They're both male, they're both in the UK, they were born in the same year, they've had the same number of marriages, they are both very rich and very famous. I think they both also live in a castle. There's nothing you can put between them. But I would be very confident that if you got their YouTube histories, you would be able to tell them apart almost immediately. And that's the point. It's the unstructured data that lets you get really deep and lets you get to really to know your audience. And that's what we've been doing at Ben. We've been using this unstructured data along with the structured and along with our industry expertise to build models that can help creators and help brands be more effective in the space, predicting views, predicting watch time, but even getting down and predicting clicks and conversions. It's really amazing. And when we've been putting that data into TubeBuddy, the results speak for themselves. If you use TubeBuddy or if you use tools like it and AI and integrate that into your daily workflow, you will get more subs. You will get better growth. It's just a fact. We have the numbers here to prove it. And what's interesting is if you use it a bit, you'll get a bit of benefit. That's great. But if you really integrate it into your process and you start taking advantage of these new technologies, the results can be pretty dramatic. And we've got case study after case study. We've got all the data that is built to back this up. If you come to our stand after this talk, we can come and show you some of those things. It's really rather remarkable. If you embrace this new technology, it will make your content and your YouTube experience better. But you can't talk about AI without talking about Skynet, right? It's good. The robots are coming. They're going to take over the world. A lot of people are worried that they're coming for their jobs specifically. There was a great talk that was at the World Economic Forum where Richard Baldwin, you may have heard this quote, AI is not going to take your job, but someone using AI will. So you need to start using it in order to be able to compete. But what's interesting and less reported is what he said later on, which is the second quote. AI is giving more power to all workers or all creatives, but especially those who are average. And that's a really horrible way of saying this, but I think actually what he's trying to say there is if you've got a weakness, lean on AI. If your ability to optimize a thumbnail isn't as good as maybe other people in your space, AI can bring that skill up. If you've got a problem where you don't know, you've got that blank page problem, you're trying to ideate and you can't come up with an idea, lean on AI, it's gonna help you. So where you've got a weakness, lean on AI, and then focus on the things that make you special, that make you stand out. That's the thing that you really need to be focusing on. So now, I've talked a lot about the theory. Finally, I'm going to get to some of the actual tools so that you know what we can do. So these are some tools that we already have live on TubeBuddy today. If you sign up, if you're already a customer, you can just go in and you can use them, and they're awesome. So the first one is Title Generator. It was actually announced at VidSummit last year, and the numbers are in. If you use this tool, you will get 84% on average more views than if you don't. it's amazing, especially when you layer it in with something like the A/B testing tool that we also have, or indeed, as YouTube is now starting to release. It gives you that optionality to be able to see what's resonating with your audience with very little effort on your part. Suggested shorts, this one's great as well. So what this does is it looks back through your long-form content, analyzes it where you had really good engagement, really good retention on those pieces of content, and then suggested those to you as little clips. You can then use that to either make shorts, maybe repurpose it, maybe make it the basis of an entire new video. It's a great way to ideate based on real feedback from your audience. Also, another tool that we talked about last year was our retention analyzer tool. This actually incorporates a lot of that same technology, so you're getting the benefit of both. Finally, my favorite, which is the thumbnail analyzer. There's been a lot of talk of thumbnails here, and rightly so. It's the packaging. Like, if everyone saw the John Ushai one before, great, great talk. What this tool allows you to do is put those thumbnails into the system ahead of time, and the AI will tell you which one it thinks is going to perform best before you've even put the video live. You can put in a whole bunch, and as well as it just giving you a ranking, this one's better, this one's worse, that heat map thing you're seeing on the other side, that's the AI telling you which parts of the image it thinks is most important, which ones is going to generate the click. And so you can start making decisions about edits that you might want to make on your thumbnail, again, before you've even put it out to your customers. You get more views, you get more likes, the numbers peak for themselves. This tool is available right now. You should all be using it if you want to get more views and more likes and more subscribers. But what I'm really here to talk to you about today is the next stuff, right? That's what we really want to know. What's the cool stuff that we're working on that isn't quite ready yet? The big one that you'll hear people talking about a lot is multimodal AI. And again, a little bit of data science, sorry, but hopefully it'll be useful. Multimodal AI is the idea of an AI that can use different modes of content in the same model. So that actually already exists. DALL-E and Midjourney are examples of multimodal AI because you give the prompt to DALL-E in text. You say, hey, I want a picture of the cat on the moon, and it can then make you the image. You can actually, and fewer people know this, with some of the models, you can actually give it an image, and then it will then describe it, bringing it back into text. Multimodal is that idea, when you have different types of content in the same model. Text and image is just the start. Video is coming for sure. Audio is another really interesting one. Imagine being able to do your thumbnail and be like, give me a soundscape for what this thumbnail looks like. Really, really cool. And then even 3D modeling and stuff like that. There's really a truly mind-boggling amount of applications when you start being able to mix between these modalities. And so that's what we've been playing with. Everyone knows this. I think it's been referenced many times over the last few days, the whole close your mouth thing. And he was able to do that because he has a huge team of very smart people and he has a massive brain in terms of coming up with these new YouTube thumbnail ideas. Not everyone has that amount of time. Not everyone is a YouTube thumbnail idea expert. So we've kind of built something to do that for you. What you're seeing here is a model that we trained on one of our researchers. That's him there. You can see him in the booth later. And we gave it the same prompt. We told it what good YouTube thumbnails look like. We trained it on the person's face so that they're in there as well. And we gave it the prompt, I ate the world's largest slice of pizza. Now, this is very early alpha stuff. I'm giving you sneak peeks of stuff that's not entirely fully baked, if you like. So that's why you've got some of the weird pizza shapes and things. But it gives you some ideas to work off. And it can continue, and it can generate hundreds of these. Like lots and lots of ideas for you to ideate on and for you then to take forward. They also ran it on me, which was fun. And again, some weird quirks there. You can see that the one on the bottom right, for some reason, it thinks I'm an octogenarian. I think it's because my hair's tied back. We're going to have to make sure it's got like a attractiveness filter in there. Maybe we can do that. But I think the one on the bottom left actually is a pretty good thumbnail and could potentially do quite well. As well as thumbnails, another big thing on the thumbnails, yes, you've got to come up with the idea, but then editing it. So we've been building models that allow you to automatically edit using text. So the one on the left, it's on a beach, but it's a bit too rocky. Maybe we wanted it at sunset, so we can give that prompt, and the system is then able to automatically edit it, and you can then run those as additional options. Where it gets really exciting, though, is when you start layering all these models together, and that's what we're seeing increasingly, is people picking up different AI tools, jamming them together, and making more of their constituent parts. And that's what we've got here. We're taking our thumbnail generator, we're taking our title generator, and we're adding our click-through detector, the thumbnail analyzer, and putting it all together. And what's really great there is that we can do multivariant testing. We can select one thumbnail and try it against all the different titles, another thumbnail against all the different titles. So we can work out the perfect combination of title and thumbnail to present to you as a potential idea to take forward, which is which is going to save you a huge amount of time and hopefully get you those views that you're looking for. And we're not just looking at YouTube, we're going beyond. Yes, creators are obviously on YouTube, and it's where we started, but Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, all of these different platforms, the same ideas apply. It's all unstructured data, and a lot of the models that we've already produced, like, for example, the YouTube Shorts, you can use that to be able to create TikTok content from your YouTube long-form content. That's meant we've had to build some really new technology, and once again, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of some of the things that are coming out very soon with TubeBuddy. So this is the new TubeBuddy beta experience, and it's amazing. All you have to do is sign up, and it will use that clustering system that I showed you at the beginning to find where your niche is, to find your spot in YouTube. You can then go through and say, yeah, I like that YouTube, or I don't like that creator, or this is a really aspirational creator that I want to be more like. It can then take that and describe your audience, give you insights in terms of the things they're searching for, the things they find interesting. And even going further, we can sell you the sorts of things that they're buying, for example, on YouTube, on Amazon, or the content that they're reading on Reddit. And this is an ideation platform for you to be able to find new video ideas. I hope you'll agree is pretty amazing. But we didn't stop there. We went further. So now you've got all of this data in one place. We've got a system called Actions, which allows us to then run AI on top of the AI all over again. The example that you can see there to the right is the ability to create new ideas. I don't know if some of you have played with ChatGPT or some of the other title generator or similar tools. Yes, they work. They can give you some good ideas, but they're kind of limited. They end up being a bit generic quite quickly, and maybe they're not really clued in on exactly who you are as a creator. By us getting all this data to begin with, we can create some really targeted, really specific ideas for you, just for your channel. And when we've been early alpha testing this, the results have been amazing. There was one that I particularly remember. We were going through the demo, and the gentleman that we were showing it to stopped us and said, wait a minute, have you got access to my email? And we're like, no, why? Why do you think we've got access to your email? Because that third option that you've got right there, I'm doing right now. Like, it's in the final stages of post-production. That's how good these predictions have got. We dug through deeper, and he said, oh, stop a second, I want to go and phone someone. Why? Oh, because the AI has just suggested that I work with someone that I did a couple of collaborations back when I first started my YouTube career, and I haven't spoken to them in years. That sort of human connection, that ability to spark creativity is absolutely priceless. And it's just so great to see the technology that we're building making a real difference in creators' lives. So now the important bit, some QR codes. I understand the internet here is rubbish, so maybe take a picture and try and do it later. But that first one, that will get you 90 days worth of TubeBuddy Legend and access to all of those AI tools that are already live, completely free of charge. But most importantly, on that page, there's a section there that you can see that says, I'm interested in joining the beta program. If you tick that on, you're then liable for inclusion in that second piece that I was showing you, all the really, really cutting edge stuff. So make sure you tick that on, because then we can give you access to that. If you want some demos of some of these tools a little bit later, we have a booth. Come and see us. We'd be more than happy to show you some of the really cool tech that we're working on. And finally, if you want to talk nerdy, I'm on LinkedIn. That's me. You can hit me up, and I'll happily talk about AI till the cows come home. And on that, thank you very much. I hope you found it at least a little bit interesting, a little bit insightful, and I'll happily take some questions.
We have time for 3 questions. So if we get the first 3 people up here in line right here, we'll take it. I'm so sorry for the people who are sitting back over there. You should have been in the front.
If we already utilize TubeBuddy,
Yes.
how do we participate in the beta program?
So if you just go and click on that and put in your details again, you'll then be included in the beta, or be eligible to be included in the beta. We're rolling it out slowly. Or come to the booth, have a chat with us, and we're more than happy to show you some of the tools in a one-to-one.
Hello, fellow Englishmen.
Hey, nicely done.
Do you find, like, I mean, I can give a testimonial right here for using TubeBuddy, because I started my channel not long ago. I have 415,000 now.
Wow.
So it's really quick. But what I found was, as I grew really big, I found it harder to use the tools.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to speak offline about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to. I think that's one of the challenges when you've got such a diverse community as the creator community, is when you build tools, you have to build them for different stages of their journey. And there may be certain tools that maybe when you first started using TubeBuddy you didn't spot that are perfectly suited for where you are now. So yeah, come to the booth. We'll give you some tutorials, and we'll get you sorted out.
I just realized on the timer we have a little more time for questions, so all the people who left before the encore, shame on you. We'll take 3 more. Come on, get in line. We'll get through them all.
Hello, so I've been really interested in the new things that AI can enable. So I've been trying to make scripted short films, and I want to use Midjourney in order to generate images and be able to tell whatever stories I want. So I'm just really interested in this space and like what you think of scripted content and how AI is going to enable new things to be created that no one else could create before.
Absolutely. So I think there's all sorts of interesting opportunities there. One of the other speakers I was talking to was saying that they use things like ChatGPT and Midjourney for ideation. So they'll write down their initial script, they'll then take it to ChatGPT and say, condense this, make it funnier, make it shorter, make it more punchy. They'll then use that, then they can go to Midjourney and use that as a storyboarding tool. Take a couple of those ideas and be like, hey, what would this scene look like? Visualize this for me. And those are exactly the sorts of tools that we're building into TubeBuddy. So yeah, the future is here. It's just not evenly distributed yet. One of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite authors. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Thanks for TubeBuddy. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Maybe this is just my humanity and existential crisis.
Yes.
But I worry about using AI and then kind of getting blocked because Google or YouTube or whatever thinks like, hey, this isn't organic content and we want to prioritize organic content. So can you speak to that and assuage my fears?
Yes, yeah? I'll try. So it's an interesting problem. And yeah, there are AI companies that are trying to work on AI detection and things like that for exactly the reason that you pose. Amazon actually recently have limited the number of self-published books that they're accepting because they were getting completely swamped with AI-generated content. I think what it comes back to is that one of those earlier slides, I'm not going to try and go through it because it'll go wrong, but where it was like the viewers of your content trust your AI-generated content or AI-assisted content as much as your primary content. No one cares whether you used Avid or Final Cut Pro. No one cares whether you use Photoshop or some other tool for your thumbnail. AI is just another tool. Ultimately, it's your expression. That's what they're following. They are following you because you are unique and you have your own perspective on the world. I don't see these platforms limiting the use of these technologies, except in the cases where they're being used to generate mass content that has very low value. Fundamentally, if AI helps you make better content, that's in the platform's interest.
Hello. Oh, there we go. I just got a quick question, maybe simple. John, I thought he had a great idea as far as using shorts to determine the intro. With the short suggestion, is there a way to upload it directly to TubeBuddy prior to publishing it?
So the short suggestion tool uses your existing long-form content and your audience's reaction to it, so that's after the fact, whereas what John was showing you was the idea of doing it ahead of time to be able to tease out and work out which things might work. Where I think the short suggested tool is going to be really good is then using that, learning what your audience starts to like, and then using that in your future videos, or indeed looking back at some of your really old videos, what really resonated there, and then maybe using that as that short little clip as the basis for an entirely new piece of long-form content.
So you sort of touched on this 2 questions or 2 answers ago, but legalities of AI.
Yes.
If we're inside of TubeBuddy, I get it, we're covered by you guys, but if it's outside of TubeBuddy using an AI, we have an in-house legal team that told our marketing crew, was like, don't be touching anything with AI right now.
Yeah, it's certainly, it's an evolving space. The legal landscape, just the sheer number of companies that are out there that are doing stuff is mind-boggling. Again, I think you just have to look at there is some legal sides of it in terms of what the models were trained on and whether they're allowed even to be used for commercial use. Facebook and things like that have been releasing a lot of their models as open source available for commercial use, and so that's great. But yeah, this is why when you're using some of these new tools, you do need to look at it a little bit closely to see what rights you have over the content, what rights they're retaining, and indeed where their content was trained from. So I don't have a short answer for you, unfortunately. It's a very nuanced and difficult question, but it is one that even the EU right now, there is a huge new law coming through in the EU called the EU AI Act that is trying to address some of the potential harms and potential legal ramifications of AI. But didn't exist 18 months ago. Everyone's scrambling to keep up. So pay attention, keep online, use TubeBuddy because we're there to help and support you. But yeah, it's a difficult space for sure.
Last question is from Big Mike.
Howdy there. I do all sorts of content on Route 66, and my demographic is a much older demographic, 45 to 65 plus. And I'm wanting to find out, is there a way, I just got set up with your legacy program, but I haven't had a chance to play with it much.
Okay.
Is there ways of putting demographics in there? Because a 20-year-old's probably looking at different, likes it faster, likes it different things. Is that something you guys, is it available now, or is that something you guys are working on?
So it's an interesting point. And yeah, when you train AIs, you want to be able to expose it to as much data as possible. But one of the key things there is, yes, that may be the skew of your demographic, that it may mostly be older. But if you limit it only to that demographic, your younger audience that may still enjoy it, you would be excluding them. That's why the audience clustering system is so powerful, because it doesn't care what the demographic is. It cares whether they like your content. That's what it's focusing in on. It's your actual niche. You're much more varied and much more multifaceted than a really limited demographic profile. And that's one of the things that's so powerful with the unstructured data of generative AI, is it allows you to keep that nuance alive without having to condense it down to, you're a millennial, you're a boomer. Those are such broad brushes that you can't build the level of engagement that you want with your audiences when you're using such a crude tool.